Hello and welcome to the Calculus 1 playlist. Calculus really starts with the introduction of the notion of something called a limit, and the easiest type of limits are the ones that you can solve by substitution. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's do a problem and then we can figure out what I mean by that. So let's say we had the limit as x tends to -7 of 2x plus 5. And the first thing you always do with any limit problem that you have, question 1 should always be, no matter what it is. I know that you know that this is a limit by substitution problem, but any limit, you're usually on a test, you're not going to be told that it's what method to use, but any limit, the first thing you should always do is, can I substitute, is what you should ask yourself. Can I substitute? And so we can try it. Let's take -7 right here and substitute this in to the equation. So we end up with 2 times -7 plus 5. And that's -7 times 2 is -14 plus 5. And so that equals -9. So problems like these are pretty straightforward. Later on you'll get to limits that are a little more complicated than this, where you can't actually solve just by substituting the number inside, or if you do, you'll probably end up with something like 1 over 0, or 0 over 0, or something like that. And then in those problems you have to do some more, algebra and move things around and try and figure things out before you can actually solve them. But the limits by substitution ones are the easiest. All you do is just take the number that's right there and plug it in. And you should try that with every limit problem, because if you can do that and you don't get something that's like this, and you do get a proper answer at the end, then you can that's all you need to do. So let's do another one. Let's do a trig one just for fun. Alright. Let's say we had the limit. Whoops. Say we had the limit as x tends to pi over 2 of 5 times the sine of x plus the cosine of x. So just like we did before, the first thing I'm going to try is, can I substitute? So let me try and put pi over 2 in place of x in both these places, and see if I can get something that doesn't end up with a 0 in the denominator or something like that. So we have 5 times the sine of pi over 2 plus the cosine of pi over 2. Okay, so what's the sine of pi over 2? The sine of pi over 2 is 1. And if you don't know what the sine of pi over 2 is, you could just plug that in your calculator. I think in pre-calculus they usually make you memorize the most common sine and cosine, like pi over 2 and things like that. But if you don't remember, you can always just plug it into your calculator. So we have 5 times the sine of pi, which is 1, plus the sine of pi over 2, which is 1. And then the cosine of pi over 2 is 0. Again, if you don't remember that, you can always just plug it into your calculator. And so 5 times 1 is 5, plus 0 is just 5. So your answer is 5. And that's all there really is to these problems. Later on, like I said before, we'll get to more complicated ones.